very significant part of our operations. And a very significant part of the resources of staff is directed to the implementation of those infrastructure projects.
We have some questions. I didn't.
We haven't even scratched the numbers yet.
Oh, where did you get that? You're going to go into those?
Well, who wants to take a break for dinner now, or do we want to finish up DPW's
Can you just pass me that?
departmental?
Maybe I'll-
Let's finish.
Let's finish.
Yeah.
Question of revenues. The state transportation aid is going up 50,000.
Again, we tried to touch on that in the overview, that is a swap between how the budget comes between capital and the operating budget for public works and how we allocate state transportation aids.
Okay.
There's currently lower transportation aids allocated in the capital budget than last year, which means the other residuals of that flow for presentation purposes into the DPW general fund budget. But again, overall aids are not anticipated to increase significantly based on current information.
You have some things highlighted in red. Is that supposed to be something?
Right.
Oh,
All,
these colored.
well, the accounts on the left, the account names highlighted in red are all the accounts that have detailed schedules on the subsequent pages for expenditures. The red numbers on the state transportation aids are numbers that are more for my benefit to know which items need to be finalized in budget wrap-up depending on additional information and final deliberations of the body.
Good trust.
I just have a question on the Dance program. I don't know where it falls.
Capital,
Is it capital? Should I be?
that'd be great.
And the salt contract is here or in capital?
Salt contracts here,
Okay.
What page?
let me find it.
74.
Winter maintenance, second from the bottom line on page 74.
So it's increasing, and I'm just from 2017 projected, and I know we're going to rebuild the salt sheds. Can you just explain that?
Well, the salt, the salt we participate in the state contract for the purchase of road salt. And that is a number, municipalities in Milwaukee County are eligible under the contract we work through. And how that works is sometime usually in about March or so, April, the state will contact us and say, this is going to be the price per ton for the 2017-18 season. How many do you want? And we have about 15 days to respond. So we make our best educated guess
You get the
based
farmer's
on
almanac out.
farmer's almanac.
Looking at the score.
And how much salt we think we will have from the previous contract, and then we say we would like, you know, X number of tons.
And do we have a lot left? I thought the reason we weren't building the salt shed this year is because we did actually have a lot left.
We do. And so we did, we reduced ours somewhat.
No.
No, we were the same. We typically try to start the year with a full shed, so that's not really any different than any other year.
So if we don't need, what happens if we don't have too much salt?
And we have to store it.
Okay, and I just remember from the presentation before on bad winters, that when we have to order extra salt, it actually costs twice as much or more
We can.
expensive.
It has, yes.
And I'm assuming because we have a lot and we order the same amount, that we probably wouldn't incur that. So is that considered in here, that extra?
How many tons do you think you have on site now, Leon?
Well,
750.
And then the new order comes in?
How many tons do you project?
The new order comes in as we need it, so it's not, throughout this season, as our reserves go down, as we, let's say we get a couple big snowstorms, I'll call, salt gets delivered, you know, as long as we have quantity available.
And then they'll just, is there a fee to keep, for them to keep it
No.
at first place? Okay.
The fee comes into place at the end of the winter season. If they have to store it for the summer, that's when the fee comes in.
Like you typically start out with?
That's the
Sizable
ideal
amount.
situation, yes. You know, one of the things with buying salt and playing with the numbers is you can really get into trouble if, you know, like the last couple of years, the weather's been mild, okay? We didn't get a ton of snow. So the tendency is to say, well, we need less salt. And then ultimately you order less salt. This year could be a bad winter, and then you get in trouble. So we try to keep that, you know, relatively consistent so we don't get into that position and have to buy salt at a premium price.
And the only reason I ask is because we are going to be rebuilding the shed this year, at least that's
Yep.
what we're there. And so we would want our supply to go down,
Ideally,
different
yes.
than another year.
Yes.
So are we going to incur more storage fee then?
In terms of making it easier to build the shed, that would be a good goal.
Right.
But our primary goal is to make sure we have enough salt available to make sure that we,
Of course.
you know, are doing our due
So it
diligence
doesn't
the
have
way
any
we
impact.
can. So,
So building that shed doesn't have any impact?
on the order, no.
Okay. Thank you.
Trustee Zillick?
Did we, or am I dreaming, that we did some pilot last year with mixing something else with the salt?
We've been doing that for a couple of years now.
Is that past pilot, that's now standard?
That is standard practice for us and most
Most.
everyone in the world, yeah.
Then I had just a note for you, Mark, the same data issue carries over with the police unleaded fuel.
I can
It's got the
Probably.
13,000 gallons and $37,000.
I can probably explain that,
Okay.
if you like. I think the chief had his budget done well before I did. And typically, though, I'm going to point out I didn't have mine done by the tree.
You did.
But typically, and the previous chief and I worked together to try to determine, try to project per gallon costs, look at their trends in usage and try to come up with a good number for projecting for future fuel usage based on averages of the past years. I think when I looked closer at his fuel usage over the last couple of years and a projected number for per gallon price for unleaded in 18, I made that adjustment and I made the adjustment in my budget and verbally told the chief that I've made this adjustment. He said, well, I've already handed mine in. And I tried to catch it, and I think it was just.
I think we did have communications too, and I'll straighten it out.
Yeah. And the other thing I noticed too, that we've got on diesel unleaded for your department,
Mhm.
we've got a decrease in volume. Is that based on more efficient vehicles?
Typically, the biggest,
I'm not complaining.
no.
I like it.
Well, I would say that the biggest factor in the diesel fuel usage is what kind of winter we have.
Yeah, sure.
And the biggest factor in our unleaded usage, there's two, how dry it is, because we use those vehicles significantly to water during the summer. And then the second thing is, how well we did on main breaks, because nearly all of our vehicles for the water utility, or many of them are gasoline powered.
Yeah, okay.
I bet you were speaking of main breaks. It's in Milwaukee, right?
Oh, jeez.
That one almost gave me a heart attack.
Yeah, we were sweating, because that's awfully close here.
That's awfully close.
For vehicle maintenance, in the garage, is this, like we just purchased we're gonna have 4 new vehicles, our main ones that we use every day, right? Garbage trucks that do a lot of their functions. It's budgeted at the same amount.
Mhm.
Are we gonna, would there potentially be less maintenance?
That would be, I think, what we would all like. And those are big users of that budget. But while those are being replaced, the rest of our fleet is aging. So it's a little bit of a swap. we don't really know exactly how those vehicles are going to perform. We've done a lot of homework and talked to a lot of different people, but
Yeah, I just not familiar, I thought those were, there's probably a lot more.
there are many.
And in here, is there any allocation for, did we ever look into shading the sidewalks, like sharing that cost with Whitefish Bay?
That is something we continue to look at, and we have had that conversation, and this will come to you more formally in the near future. But at this point, our recommendation will be to either use a rental unit or contracted services to see how that best fits into our current practices.
And is that included in here, like the projection that we might approve that?
It would not be a significant amount that would have to be detailed out. If we were to rent that equipment, that would fall within our regular operating budget and not be a detailed expense. If we were to contract that, it is very likely at this point what we would be looking at would be contracting that out prior. I don't want to say immediately prior, but in a window just prior to the actual sidewalk program in 2019.
Okay.
So that would be a 19 budget expense if we were to contract or purchase.
Okay. And the only other question I have on operating and I'm done is, with the new waste contract, we projected in the memo like a 30% reduction in staff time. And I'm just wondering, do you have you allocated that time and could you just highlight that for us?
Sure.
I actually handle staff allocation
Oh, yeah.
time.
I can tell you how we envision
For
to use
budget.
those people
Yeah, for
differently.
You want budget or operate?
The budget probably, since we're talking budget,
Yeah, again, we look at those trends and averages in the Department of Public Works and Utilities. I did make an adjustment this year to the refuse allocations. So a little less time has been allocated to that, more time in other areas, mainly in this year. We're anticipating some activity in the water department. So, and that's continually updated as we see more and more actual results come in on labor hours in the different areas. And then we try to tweak it when we know that we've got major initiatives coming up or some special projects. So yes, I did adjust.
and is there any revenue increases in this budget? Like any revenue generating increases?
Not other than what's listed in the revenue for public works presented items. No.
6,000. Okay, thank you.
Let's have at it. Page 125 and 126.
DPW, yeah.
Page 125 and 126 are the listing related, by and large, DPW affiliated capital projects being requested for 2018. So with this many, you might find it helpful to look at this list instead of trying to flip through that many separate pages and base your questions on that.
What did you say, base the question based on what?
On the list on page 125 and 126
Thank you.
of the projects being proposed to be funded in the capital budget for public works related activities.
I have a question on vehicles. I assume that we have some kind of master schedule that lists every vehicle and when it's scheduled to be replaced.
That should be like the last 4 or 5 pages of the
Is it in the appendix? Is it in the appendix?
of the document here.
Oh, okay, thanks.
For police,
we looking
How
How much?
On page 123, it is.
at? From 125 to 126. We'll cover those are general ones, we'll cover those when we get the Tyler and I. Well, that's a point taken, we'll cover those just in a little bit.
Well, so what are we, what page, because she's asking about something on page 125, I think. The 18,000.
123 she's looking at.
Oh.
So public works,
No,
capital
it's
projects are
125.
125 and 126.
Okay, it is on 125 too. It's-
Yeah, oh, is there too?
Yeah, it is.
Great, thank you.
$18,000 for Wilson Drive entrance stairs. Is that what you're asking?
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
and again, that's outside of the police build out of the building, so that is labeled as a public works, land improvement.
That was my request.